But I'm so fortunate that I got this job to run the largest prison in the world in any liberal democracy.
Det Kiran Bedi kom og satte I gang, det var en liten revolusjon, altså. Den var kanskje ikke så liten heller, jeg tror den var ganske stor.
I remember a lot of young girls said, oh, we want to be like Kiran Bedi, even if they were not going to join the police, you know. What they actually meant was that they wanted to be as courageous, to be able to stand their ground. And over the years, I saw her stand her ground in the face of a lot of criticism.
So I always had the courage internally with me to say, this is wrong, I can't do it. Because for me, my goal was always, who am I here for? I'm here to uphold the law. I'm here to serve the people. And if I'm upholding the law, and if I'm serving the people, I'm doing my job rightly. I don't have to be afraid of anybody.
India, with a population of 1 billion people, is the biggest democracy in the world. But the gap between rich and poor is still vast. Another challenge for India is a deep-rooted culture of corruption, religious tension, and the degrading of women. Kiran Bedi was fortunate being born into an open-minded and well-to-do family in Amritsar in 1949. The 4 sisters were encouraged to make their own life choices, and Kiran chose both a law and a police education, but was originally known as a tennis champion.
What I learned on the tennis court is exactly what I practice in the police field. It's a transparent, open work where I'm serving the people. Where I'm playing for the people, here I'm serving the people. And instead, there I had a racket in my hand, a tennis racket. Now I have a police baton or my police uniform.
But becoming India's first female police officer was not welcomed by everyone.
And there were not many men at all who were willing to train me. They were saying, we can't train, we don't know how to train a woman. But there was one police officer who said, no, I can train her, you send her to me. And that's a very fine police officer called Gautam Kaul, who's mentioned in my book. But he knew I had come there without any complexes. I had come there as already a person with a sense of conviction, a stamina and determination more than the boys. Because I was not only a national champion, I was an Asian tennis champion when I joined the Indian Police Service.
In 1972, Kiran married Birj Bedi, and 3 years later, their first child, Saina, was born. Kiran's courage was soon put to test when militant Sikhs demonstrated.
One of the men who was armed, he came right up to her, pointed the sword at her. She took out her service revolver and said, down, otherwise I will shoot. I can never forget that, because that was Kiran in action,
As Deputy Police Commissioner, Bedi got national attention when she was responsible for the towing away of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's wrongly parked car. But this incident was not without its consequences. Against her will, she was soon afterwards transferred to the holiday resort Goa and had to leave her little daughter and family behind in Delhi.
So when I got into the police service, for me, law was equal for all. It didn't matter whether it belonged to the Prime Minister of this country.
But let me point out one thing to you. When it did happen, the public sympathy was with her.
The Goa posting was on the brink of becoming fatal when her little daughter Saina fell seriously ill and only a hospital in Delhi could save her. Kiran was refused leave of absence but took action and went to Delhi, where her own child was saved. After this incident, Bedi was not given a new posting for several months.
If it is not right to swim along with the wave, swim against it, because that's your job to do. And when you swim against it, you're seen struggling. You're the only one, or you're probably few of you, while the majority is swimming that side, the minority is swimming this side, so you stand out. And everybody asks you, why are you swimming against the wave?
Betty discovered that the police were not even near coping with the problems of crime and drug abuse. In her first book, Betty presented her new idea of a welfare police. Her goal was to change the attitude in the police force from contempt to compassion. With this in mind, she started in 1986 her first drug de-addiction centers attached to the police stations.
Basically, what we have learned that using drugs gives you three kind of damages. It damages your brain, your physique, and your social structure. And in order to come out of that, you need time for that. You need time to repair your mind. You need time to repair your social structure, broken social structures. You need time to become physically healthy. One can get physically healthy within 15 days to 1 month's time. But as far as mind is concerned, it repairs take a little longer. And social structure, getting back oneself to one's job, rehabilitating oneself back into the family and into the society and put them on the right track takes little longer. It takes generally 7 months to 1 year's time.
For a person like us, seeing this world without drugs is very difficult because we have a habit of seeing this world by taking drugs. Our minds are like that. I never knew that this is a disease. I came here and knew that this is a disease of our habits, our attitudes, which were wending wrong from our childhood. I was thinking that this is my habit, which I have to leave somehow, but this is a disease.
बहुत गुस्सा है तेरे पे, बहुत गुस्सा है रबी खान, बहुत गुस्सा आया, बहुत गुस्सा है तेरे पे रबी खान, बहुत गुस्सा आया.
Normally, during the stay here, they don't use harsh language to each other, they don't abuse each other. What if somebody is having some kind of reaction, angry reaction towards somebody's some kind of deed, and then they can later on during the week session, they can take out their feelings in that particular encounter session. It needs a lot of commitment on the part of the staff, a lot of commitment on the part of the patient, a lot of commitment on the part of the family members. It is a long-term process in which we all work together, patient, family, and the staff, so that the goal can be achieved.
But to beat crime, Betty also wanted to change the role of the police officer. In a country where most people would fear the police, she worked on building trust. Here, Betty is guest of honor at the inauguration of a new site where another drug de-addiction center is to be built. The methods used in the centers result in 60% of the clients being drug-free.
You see, I believe in the power of prevention. I believe in the power of correction. And I believe policing is power of correction. Policing is performing prevention. So therefore, if that extends me and takes me into welfare policing, why not? Because in the end, it's equal to crime prevention.
Yamuna Pushta is Delhi's biggest slum area with more than 200,000 inhabitants. Betty started out her welfare police model here.
There were no rehabilitation measures, whereas this population was full of drug pushers, drug peddlers, small thieves, burglars, gamblers, prostitution, child begging. It had all the problems which any poverty-ridden, overcrowded, illiterate population can have. So I had two options. One, to do a massive arrest every day, send people to jail, and then they bailed out, leave them as they are, or work at the root correction. Correct the root.
And to correct the roots of crime, Betty, with an organization called Navjoti, decides to build 90 street schools in the slum.
पास का पास में इसी हमारे बच्चे चले भी जाते हैं और जल्दी भी आ जाते हैं पढ़ के इससे अच्छा ही है नवज्योति का स्कूल खुल गया यहाँ पर हमारे करने से भी फिर भी 150 रुपये खर्चा है हमारे घर का लगा के बहुत लगते हैं हमारे इससे लगाएंगे जैसे अपनी मजबूरी के हिसाब से खर्चा करते हैं फिर भी 150 रुपये हमारे घर का खर्चा है इसमें बहुत ही सब मिलकर काम करते हैं तो खर्चा करते हैं जब काम नहीं करेंगे तो कहाँ से खर्चा होगा
आप नहीं सुनेंगे मैं बहुत सुन लिया आपने
अरे क्या कर रहे घोड़े
Kiran Bedi hired Gurvash Kaur to lead the vocational training center 8 years back.
इसके ऊपर तो मैं कोई उदाहरण दे नहीं सकती कि हमारे हिंदुस्तान के अंदर ये पहली किरण है जिसने ज़िंदगी का और पहली किरण ने अपना पहले पन्ने पे नाम लिखाया है हिंदुस्तान के ऊपर ये झुग्गियों को स्वर्ग बनाया है हर घर घर के अंदर आन के ये शिक्षा का साधन बनाया है हर गरीब को रोटी का जीने का सहारा दिखाया ये किरण बेदी ने सब कुछ कर दिखाया
Through NORAD project, we are now reaching out to more than 6,000 children, boys and children in educational programs and vocational training. So you will see them all, which is NORAD supported today, and they are committed for the next 3 years. And I hope it gets renewed for next 3 years, and next 3 years, and next 3 years.
Well,
They are there as long as people need it.
We have to make a good film.
Yes, that's what I said. 3 years, next 3 years, next 3 years, till these people grow up and they say, we're old to run it and children have grown up. Thank you very much.
The Norwegian ambassador to India, Truls Hanevold, is invited to Yamuna Pushta. As a representative for the state-owned Norwegian Development Agency, NORAD, he is inspecting Bedi's slum project to see how the money from NORAD is spent.
Jeg føler at hun har et enormt stå-på-humør og en viljestyrke som man sjelden møter. Og så har hun en stor grad av personlig sjarm. Hun kan snakke med folk på en måte som får dem til å innse at det hun holder på med er støtteverdig. Men jeg har ikke ennå møtt noen annen som har samme drive og karisma som Kiran Bedi.
So they have replaced their money from begging to working themselves. So they will accept the fact that children will not beg. And the money loss is now doing by, they do the drum beating.
Okay, I'm very happy to hear that. Very happy to hear that. The wife of my brother. And they brought home with them.
So what we will present you some drums and we write NORAD too.
But in a year's time, the contract with the Norwegian Development Agency will run out. And Betty goes to Norway to present the plans for the Norwegian Development Fund.
Og det er jo endringsagenter som henne vi er på leiting etter. For hun er jo et eksempel på hva et enkeltmenneske kan bety. Når du har kunnskap, har engasjement, har den der indre kraften til å gjøre noe for andre, og så klarer å motivere andre til å bli med. Så det hun har fått til i India er jo helt utrolig.
I must say the world tomorrow's world belongs to the world of a world which is willing to share and give prosperity. And I believe in my philosophy, the more you give, the more you get. The less you give, the less you have to give. The less you're left with it, because you start consuming more. And I think that's a part of the Indian philosophy, is the more you give, the more you get. But I must tell you for certain that the more Norway will give, the more Norway will have. I can tell you this is the law of nature. And if I would end it with Mahatma Gandhi, he said, whenever you have surplus, then imagine the poorest man in your eyes and do as you think the poor man would need.
And the slum project is granted help for 3 more years.
Men samtidig så har jeg gjort det klart overfor Kiran Bedi at vår støtte vil ikke vare forever. Det vil være et ønske og en forutsetning fra vår side at Navioti etter hvert vil stå mer og mer på egne ben.
Tihar Central Jail is one of the biggest prisons in the world. With its 12,000 prisoners, it was notorious for being a violent, corrupt and stinking hellhole. The prison had been without a managing director for almost a year when Kiran Bedi suddenly was posted to the job. The negative aspects of Tihar are quite obvious, says a young Norwegian convict in Tihar.
Tihar er jo